Hello, everyone. This is Eric Diaz. Thank you for another week of CIS 103, Introduction to Social Media. As you guys know, I really enjoy trying to get people that are actively doing different things in the different areas of marketing and advertising, especially with social media as a focus. So I think it's good when you hear not just from the book, not just from me, but people that are doing the different areas and have a specific expertise. So this week, I really wanted to bring somebody that actually has an experience of building content on their own channels, having their own life and grow, and having their own platform where they kind of share their experiences, their thoughts, who they work with, and kind of have that be where they a channel that's actually gotten to the level where they can actually get compensated for the things that they talk about and the posts that they create, because I think that's a unique place to be. Not many people get to be at that level. So I'm really happy to have Ariella with us today. And Ariella, I'll tell the class as well, just in full disclosure, my company does work with Ariella in certain situations. So we actually hire Ariella for our clients in order to have her represent our brand, because we think we feel really strongly about the way Ariella presents herself and the content she creates, and that she's going to do a great job for our brand and getting the exposure that they want. So I will say that it's been something that our client continues to want to work with Ariella. So I'm really happy that she accepted my offer to talk to the class today. So thank you, Ariella, for being with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. So Ariella, I as you know, I shared your bio with the class, and I just a little bit of general information. So I think one of the things I just want to start off with, if is a little bit about like your day to day and what you do. What's your normal lifestyle like? I did share with the class that you are a Zumba instructor living in New Jersey, and actually a number of the class did have questions about that, and just in general, like working out and what's that like. So I will kick it off with one of the student questions, and it's actually Yvette asked this question. She's not on the line today, but she did ask about basically how do you manage to keep people coming to Zumba class in these days of the pandemic. So if you could just talk a little bit about what you do and maybe what Zumba is like these days.
Okay, yeah. So Zumba during the pandemic is not easy because we have, I don't know, I have not gone back to in-person teaching. It's been all on Zoom, all virtual. And in the beginning, I was nervous about teaching because it was new. So, everybody's telling me you should do an online class. And I was apprehensive. And then finally I said yes. And it was amazing in the beginning, like a bunch of participation, but just like anything else, just like a regular class, things dwindle off. What I will say though, is that being consistent with promoting and being on the social media more so, like not so much. I have my own client list also that I email personally, but I try to get other people to come on there's plenty of people from around the world who I have no idea who they are, who somehow seen my videos on some, platform, mostly Instagram. So when I was consistently promoting that, that's when the numbers did very good. But I have my main problem is consistency, but it is the most important thing, I believe. And I'll say that that's an answer to a few of the questions I've read it's consistency. That's what it's
Consistency.
about.
No, that makes sense. What so when the class, so you're from the class, and she's on the line, although she's not able to ask because she's at work. But she asked, her question was about, she says, I have a hard time going to the gym or even just starting to go. What advice would you give, or what do you do to take that first step into getting towards going to the gym?
When you're first getting into the gym, my best advice is find a gym buddy, that's one, or hire a trainer, because it just kind of keeps you both are they'll calm your nerves if that's a thing for you, if you're nervous about it. Just having someone there, a trainer will show you exactly what you need to do. You don't even have to think about it, and it's someone to keep you in check. So it's just someone to answer to. That always helps.
That makes sense. And then you had a follow-up question. She wanted to know, is there any other classes you give instruction with, or is there any other things that you do similar to Zumba?
No, not currently. I am certified to teach what's called Strong by Zumba, and it's basically it's more fitness based, but it's to music, but it's not dancing. Like it's not the same as Zumba at all. They might as well take Zumba out of the name. But I'm certified to teach that. I'm just still practicing for that. But no, Zumba right now is all I do.
Okay. So tell us more, like what's a normal day like for you? What are the things that you do every
Well,
week?
I do have a full-time job. I work for a utility company, so that's Monday through Friday during the day. It has nothing, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything I do on social media. So it's like that is my breadwinner, and that's that. Don't post anything about it. I can't even. That's
Right.
work. Um, and then other than that, it's a lot of so I do Zumba, right? That's my next thing. So just focusing on new music, new choreography. And then when it comes to my social media side, if I'm working with a brand at the time, it's sketching that out. What's that project or whatever I'm working on going to look like? Making sure I have it in my calendar, and things centered around it and not centered around it, so I have enough time for that. It's a lot of creative work. It's just staying in a creative space basically, and then trying to relax on the weekends.
So, so okay. So then, just so I fully understand. So basically, you have a full-time job. You also on the side do Zumba, and then you also on the side do everything else, content creation, as far as work with any brands, all that. So
Yes,
that's a hustle.
it's busy.
Yeah, very good. Um, I wanted to pass to Zoe. Zoe had a few questions, and I wanted to allow her an opportunity to ask you directly.
Sure.
Hi, my first question was, what does a typical workday look like for you? We kind of already answered that one.
Okay.
And then my second question is, what is your favorite or most memorable brand to work with?
Well, I was thinking about that earlier. What's my most memorable or favorite? I think my favorite one was Daily Burn. It's an app, Daily Burn, and it was it's fitness. And I've worked with them twice actually, and it was just fun because they wanted video and they wanted you to use. Everybody wants you to use their product, but this was just it was I don't know, not interactive. It was just more fun. It was more fun. It was physical. I got to show what I can do. Um, but that's not really memorable. It's just favorite. I think to talk about a memorable one would be my first one. So I started on YouTube back in 2009. And one of the very first company that reached out to me that wanted to send me a product it was Adara coconut oil. So my page was about hair. My channel was about hair. And they sent me a product just for free. And they didn't even want anything crazy. I don't even know if they wanted a review on it, because this was the beginning of, YouTube being anything for promotion or anything like that. People were self-promoting their own products, but not really promoting other people's things. So anyway, I put together a really nice video. Something, or at least that's what they said. It exceeded their expectations. And if I can call them up now and still get free product if I wanted. We have like a lifelong friendship. But that's why it's so memorable to me, because they were just so sweet. They were so sweet.
What was the name of that company again?
Adara, Adara.
Got it. And then if I can really restate Zoe's question about like typical workday. So like say that Adara or Daily Burn asked for you to post something for them. What does that look like? If that was like your typical day, like when you're working for a brand, what is that like?
Well, it depends on the brand and what I have to do, what the product is. If it's a So let's go to gotta be. All right. So if it's a hair product that's supposed to do anything, I have to make sure that it can do that for my hair, right?
Mhm.
And then I have to make sure, or I like to make sure that I get the best results. So usually it's like I'm not doing anything else for that day because my hair takes a long time to do. Um, and then it's planning it out, like planning everything. If it's just a picture, it's all right. I'm looking at the colors of the product. I try to make sure, and if that, in looking at what the emails says from the company, if they want vibrant colors, if it's a fun picture, if it's supposed to be more of a calm, soothing type of atmosphere. So if it's something that's supposed to be really fun and bold, so I look at their product, I try to coordinate either what I'm wearing or something in my background. setting up lighting and looking for the best lighting, the best angles. I have a bunch of, I'm sure we all do, have all the setup, the lights and the holders, and then taking 1,000 pictures. That's what it is. Taking 1,000 pictures so you get the right one.
Makes sense. Okay, very good. Let's see. Let me ask one of Allison's questions from the class. So she said, what do you feel that companies look for when hiring an influencer? Do you have any advice for someone who would want to become one?
This is a tough question because I see, I have other friends who are trying to become influencers, and I don't even know what that is because I never tried to. It's not fair, I don't know, to ask me because it's been happening for me for such a long time and so much has changed since the beginning of all of this. So what I do see a lot of people do are like try to make themes on their page. Like if it's Instagram, they try to have a cohesive theme, which is pretty. I don't know if that's what brands necessarily look for. I think what companies like are genuineness and a lot of, I think they look for when you have a relationship with your audience, yeah, because it's the whole being able to, the comments, you want people commenting and commenting back. It's like a relationship thing. Because at the end of the day, these brands want to sell. So I think the other part of it is just having clear pictures, something nice to look at. I think that's about it for me.
Got it. Okay. No, that's a good point. What is an influencer, right? And then like from your perspective, you're just creating content and brands start working out.
It was just, for me, I wasn't trying to do it. Now I am, obviously, but it's basically just off of my foundation. Like I didn't come into this thinking, I didn't start any of this thinking like, all right, I'm going to make money off of any of this. It just kind of happened. And then I fell into that whole flow. Thank God. Because I think it's hard, and you're coming from nothing and that's your whole objective, but it's possible. It's absolutely possible. I think, and again, consistently posting. You don't want to like stop posting for months and then come back. It doesn't work. I've done it. I've been there. It's the worst thing you can do. Be consistent. And I don't know if this is a thing, but I always try not to be too personal on my business pages. Be personal to an extent, but I don't think every picture should be like you and your friends or stuff like that. I don't know. Informative posts. So anytime I do anything informative, and it could just be me, it could be a picture of me, but if I'm giving quality information in the caption about whatever I'm doing that day, brands always tend to email me after I post something like that for whatever, I guess when you're being informative about something, then you're more apt to sell something.
Mm-hmm. Is just so we know as well, are there other channels that we should that I can share with the class besides I shared with them just I think the Instagram page?
I have a Facebook business page, but that's not. I would go for the YouTube, and that's Ms. Ariella, MSARIELLA 89.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'll share that with them as well. Very good. Talking about consistency, that made me think of another question. So I understand what you were saying. Like maybe you have a break, and you're like, okay, I haven't posted in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is, and time goes by, and you're like, okay, I got to get back consistent to this. How do you make that switch, or how do you what does consistent mean to you, or how do you go from not posting to being consistent again?
All right, so can I go to one of your questions because it goes into
yeah, sure.
Or maybe it was one of your students actually.
Okay.
It was about having a calendar, like posting calendar. They said that was something that you talked about in class.
Oh yeah. You know what, Andrea, am I stealing your thunder on that one? Hold on. Yeah, sorry, Andrea. Let me let you ask your questions because you're right. Yeah, and I think that is so. Andrea, if you would kind of reiterate like what you were looking to learn.
Okay, yeah. So my my question was, so like in class we are learning more about like having the content calendar and paid promotions and like specifically targeting your like key demographic or key target key target audience. As a content creator, where you specifically are the brand, how do you incorporate like those more like structured strategies into what you do?
Gotcha. Yeah. So the content calendar thing works. Definitely helps. So when I get really, so back to answer your question, Eric, when I fall off and come back, um, that's what it is. It's scheduling out exactly what you're gonna do. So even if you're not posting to promote brands, or anything at the time, if you're just posting just to have something to post, having a calendar really helps. So when I stick to that calendar, everything starts booming really well. And then yes, that's the other part. So having your target audience. So for me, it's mine is pretty easy, right? So everybody on my page, I try to have, oh, I didn't tell you this. All right, so I have two separate Instagrams because my main Instagram is kind of mixed all over. It has my natural hair and then it has my fitness also. So I went back and forth for a long time about whether I should make a separate one. And then I finally did. And I have a fitness page, which is just growing slower because it's brand new. So I post still most of the things on my main page, but having that target audience also, just knowing who you're posting for. So if that gets too jumbled up and you don't really know who you're posting for, the algorithm changes all the time. But I think when Instagram knows who you're posting for, then that also helps you get recognized by the right brands and the right people. It's all about staying cohesive. So like I said, I've had a calendar. Definitely keep a calendar if that's what if you have a problem being consistent. And even if you don't, I think the content calendar is a really good idea.
It's great. And Andrea, if you want to ask your follow-up question as well.
Yeah. So what skills and/or approach elevated your personal brand from just any other Instagram or YouTube channel to the influence that you have now and companies wanting to collaborate with you?
So I think, like I said, with the first ever brand that reached out to me was just because I did more than what they asked for or what they expected. Doing that on a normal basis helps. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you can't like be so creative or it depends on what the brand is. But brands love that when you step outside the box and do something. It's all about creativity. You're marketing for them at this point. So if you can be someone who can market something differently or stand out in some way, then that's usually what keeps them wanting you to come back, and then you develop those relationships with the brand.
Very good. Let me review the questions I've got here. I also wanted to see what I guess any like good or bad experience. I think there's always a fun question, like if you have any like, I don't know, just like you don't have to name any brands, actually probably better if you don't, but like if you have any like horror stories or like really positive stories, about working with brands, those are always fun.
I thought about this for a while. I don't really have any crazy stories. Only one thing that was slightly annoying was one company asked me, all right, so I had to buy their product, but they reimburse you for it. So that's fine. I don't mind that. They completely reimburse you for it, and then they pay you also. But what they didn't tell me, it was only available on Amazon. And this is I work for this company that sets me up with other companies. I don't know is there a name for that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
is it an agency or is it some
kind of like this
okay.
middleman that I work for, and then they send
okay.
me their stuff like, oh, this company wants to work with you, but I work for this, so I'm getting all that information through this one company.
Got it.
Anyway, they're very strict on being, on time with the post, which everybody is. But in this particular company, it's if you're not on time, then other brands are reluctant to work with you. So mind you, we're in a pandemic, but I think everybody's working from home. But I couldn't get product in time because I didn't know it was only available on Amazon. So I had to email them. They never emailed me back. I'm not working well with that company anymore. Like it just all of this broke apart because of miscommunication. I felt. And I was like, you know. But other than that, no, nothing crazy. I never got like a product and it broke me out or anything. Like, that would be
Gotcha.
hard.
Oh, yeah, it was actually, that's kind of on the same topic of one of the questions that I believe Allison submitted. Okay, so she said a lot of the times companies reach out to her personally for a collaboration, but they want her to spend money on their product, which doesn't seem right to her. What should she says, what should I look for when companies reach out to me for a collaboration? Should they be offering their products to me for free, or should I pay to promote their stuff?
I never pay for any, like, if no, I know what she means. So the companies reached out to me too. Here's, or even with a discount code. I don't care. I don't want that either. Here's a discount code. And what it is they set you up like, okay, so when you sell, now we'll give you a code. And when anybody buys through this code, you'll get this much percent of, and I'm just not into them. Like, I'm not selling your product this way. I'm just like, but if that's what you want to do, that's just not what I want to do. I want, I like closed deals, and then we can start something else. So what should she look for? That's a really good question. So for me, when a company is emailing you, I look for it to be very personable. So I want them to say my name, not my Instagram handle, because my name is on everything.
Right.
If your name is on everything, then make sure they're saying your name, because there's a bunch of bots and all types of things that are just, they'll get you all caught up, and that's not what it is. So I look for that. I look for when they say, we've loved your post about, so you're working with someone is working behind that computer. It's not, like I said, a robot or something generated. Something very personal message. And then, then they're usually not asking you to buy anything. Look for them giving you contracts to sign are good, because that's all legal, and then it's all taken care of. And that's what
that makes sense. So you had a good point there. So like one of the things that's important to you is, like, does this company, or does this brand actually know who you are? And did they actually look at your content? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, yep, because there's a bunch, if you are popular, I don't even know how sometimes these brands find you. So I think though, if the metrics are getting out there and they see your numbers doing well, people will want to send you things that have nothing to do with your brand. So it's like, do you really know me, or are you just looking at numbers? Because you would know that I would never post for that. That doesn't even go. None of in my audience would even be interested in what you're offering. So I look for personability. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, very good. Interesting question from Yvette. Now she asked, so she said, as a minority, do you ever feel like you feel any discrimination in your field? I guess like working with brands, or in being considered or not being considered for promotions.
I can't say that I do, only because the brands that I work with are catered to my ethnicity. So being that when it comes to products, it's a lot of natural hair products. They can't discriminate. It's for me, it's for my people. So it's like,
right.
So I haven't, it doesn't mean no one else has, but luckily, no, I have not dealt with that.
Got it. This one I just came up with. So what would be your dream brand to work for?
Oh my God, I've never even thought about that. My dream brand to work. Oh, well, if we're on the fitness side, Nike. I've always said that. Right. And then on like the hair care line, maybe one of the, like, I've been really loyal to Shea Moisture. So I love their curl cream. So if like they reached out to me, or if I reached, I could reach out to them also, but they don't. So there's certain companies that I don't recognize for doing stuff like that. Like, they're just so set in the way that they advertise. They don't really look for, people on social media to do it. But yeah, I guess those two.
That inspired another question I had is, do you, or would you, or have you ever reached out directly to a brand to see if they have opportunities that you would be able to qualify for?
I haven't, only because I don't know all the time where to place like my price point and everything, which is why I've worked with other companies who do all that for me. And so, on YouTube, I used to work with a company who would ask me, so what brands are you interested in working with? And I would tell them, this company. And every now and then they would get that, but I was always uncomfortable. I don't know what to ask for, you know. I've Googled it though, and sometimes that works, I guess. But I just like having a middleman, or I like the offer to be on the table first, and then we go from there. I never know what to ask for because then it depends on what you're posting for, whether it's a video or a picture, or it's a reel, or if it's something on YouTube, and everything is different, depending on your followers, and because my followers are different all over. And so no, I haven't personally, but I know a bunch of people who have and have started that way. And I think that's a really good way to get started, is reaching out to brands and just asking for, free stuff. And that's a good way to just start if you're just getting off the ground.
Yeah, no, good point. Question, this is one of the ones I did send you before, but I'm even more curious now. So how do you describe yourself if you're in an elevator conversation?
Elevator conversation. I'd say, hey, I'm Ariella. I'm a fitness and big curly hair fanatic. Like I said, my daytime job has nothing to do with the rest of my life. I work for a utility company. And luckily, the other things I do, I'm very passionate about and I love and I get paid for.
That's great. All right. And then, and anybody that's here, if you have any other questions that come up, just message me. I can probably get you in. I've got just a couple other questions for you, Ariella, before we wrap up.
Sure.
So another question. So one of the assignments I have the class doing is there, a lot of them have their own businesses they're working on, or they have ambitions of being social media managers, and some of them are, obviously are just taking the class too. But one of the questions that I have, especially for those that are thinking about having their own business or going to work in a company, is like, what are some of the basic elements that you would recommend, as far as what are the basic elements of a good social media profile that they should look to have?
Give me an example of one element, and then I can answer.
Well, yeah, like, what do you think about, if you think about like an Instagram bio, or let's say that maybe YouTube, let's take the two most relevant, pictures, the
Okay.
name, any of those things, like if somebody just were to glance at it.
Gotcha. So, all right, on Instagram, I think your profile picture is very important. I think that should be something clear into your brand. So if you're your brand, it should be a clear picture of you with like a bold background. That's one thing that's, I think, is huge. When it comes to your bio, it should be driven to your audience. It should be about you, but it should actually cater to your audience. There should be some kind of call to action, so if you have a link, let them know what that link's for, let them know the next step you want them to do. And then, so the actual content should be engaging. It should be clear. It should be pleasant to look at. On YouTube, I think YouTube is a whole nother ballgame. But if we're talking about the elements of the profile, your banner is one thing that should be, your banner could really honestly be anything except too boring. I don't know. Your banner should be very personal, I think, to you and the brand. And on YouTube, everything should be cohesive, right? So if that's your thing, it's like, there's plenty of things to do, like your theme. So theme colors and all of that. What else? Your titles on everything should be, I don't know, they used to say like your name should be in your title, like on every title at the end. And then again with I don't know if it's as important, but I guess it is when it comes to brands looking at your YouTube profile, your bio should be similar to your Instagram.
Got it. Okay. And then I've got a question about metrics. So just curious, so like when you're looking at your YouTube or Instagram analytics, what metrics are most important to you?
For me, since I haven't been on YouTube in a long time, we won't go there. My analytics on Instagram, I like to look at the website clicks because that's my business, right? So right now, if my website is my Zumba class, my next Zumba class. So I like to know who's interested in looking at that. Shares and saves I look at, because shares mean more eyes, um, for the actual post. Accounts reached that were not following me, because I'm all about who's seeing it. I want to get, more eyes on my post, because that generates more followers, and that'll generate, more income somehow down the line in my head. And then the content interaction. So that can go, it's usually just a percentage, and we like it to be up.
Got it. Okay, great point. All right, and I did have one other question come in from the class. So Andrea, if you would.
Yeah, so my question is, at what point did you kind of make that switch between just posting this fitness thing or this hair related thing because that's what I care about, versus I'm posting it because I want to educate the people that are following me, or I'm promoting a company that has to do with these things?
So that's a great question. I think because it switches back too. Sometimes I'm like, listen, this is what I care about. And that keeps it a little personable. And like I said, I don't do that too much, but I think a little bit is important. Like if you're your brand, I think that's important, because people need to know who you are and what you're about. But at the point that I realized that it got more attention when I was catering to my audience, as opposed to like, this is what I love. It's like, if this is what you love and you like to see this, then all right, for example, and it helps because I love this too, but TikTok, right? I hopped on TikTok in the beginning of the year, and I just, like I did, like everyone else did, took all of that content and brought it over to Instagram. So annoying, but it was all dance videos and stuff, and everybody ate it up. They loved it. And I had so much fun doing it. So as I just kept giving them that, and what's interesting though, is when you do that, when you post something else that's gonna do with that, people are like, what is this? So it's a reality, but it's really just your personal choice. So me, I'm like, you're gonna get all of me. I'm gonna give you what you want, but you're gonna get what I want also. But again, that's a personal choice. If you want to stay really on brand and with your, your brand, if you want to really do that and be consistent with that, you absolutely can do that. I just like to be a little bit more personal.
Very good. All right, and then just wrapping up then, Ariela, and just final question for you. So as I mentioned, a lot of entrepreneurs and folks that are going to work as social media managers along the way might work for agencies or maybe work for brands on their own. Just any final tips that you might have as they go into a career in marketing or social media marketing? Any tips that you have for them as they get started?
Getting started. Again, consistency in whatever you're doing, just be consistent. So I only say that because on YouTube I had like 60,000 subscribers. And that's not a lot now, but for what I was doing, it was great. And then I stopped, and now every time I post something, I lose followers, right? So it's all about consistency. Whenever I'm consistent, things do well. Stay true to yourself and your brand. You don't have to sell out or do anything you don't want to do ever. And like I said, watch out for people who are emailing you and asking for information and trying to send you things. And yeah, just figure out what you love and just go for that. Just make sure you love it. It'll always, whatever it is that you're doing in this marketing brand, make sure whatever company you're working for, you love. If you're working for yourself, you love what you're doing, because then it's not work. I know that's so cliche, but it's so true.
Those are great tips. Those are great final points, and really appreciate the guidance you share with them. Ariela, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. So this content I share obviously with the folks that are on the class, and then the other folks watch it later on. And we generally have a quiz, and everybody gets to learn more of these steps along the way, and it kind of adds on to what the book is telling them. So thank you for being a part of this.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.